Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Dobbs here. I haven't quite got everything set up as I wanted to get set up today. I've been kind of like, I'm still kind of inviting people along to this event tomorrow at 7 o'clock at the town hall in Glastonbury. And it's going from 7 to 9. We're going to stream it live. So I'm doing this kind of broadcast now to try and get people involved. And we're going to present to the Glastonbury people. You know, I've done quite a few flyers. I've been to the Frost Fair, which is a great fair in Glastonbury where you get to see the whole community. And it was a beautiful day, lots of bands and all that sort of stuff. So I handed a lot of flyers there, and I've done a few. You know, I've got it in one of the local papers. I've done a little bit of work, not massive. I mean, I can't really. I'm not so good on Facebook anymore. It's not like the old days where you're kind of doing some kind of like a bar or something like that, and it's and it's all amazing and that sort of stuff. It's when you're talking about a subject like this, about the Galileo Zodiac. Really, that's what we're talking about, isn't it? That's what we're all coming back to. That's where this is all going. That we're realizing that we're in a 340-year-old lie, and we're waking up to it, and the implications of that gonna is reeling through. I can see there. X is here, September the 23rd, 2024. Well, it could be then. It really could be then. I mean, and um, it could be then. I mean, let's think about it. Um, let's think about the dates again. And if we're realizing that this thing has been consecutively been moving, excuse me, I can't do any overlays here, but let's think about the dates here. This thing has been consecutively moving. Certainly on the side it is at the moment, 1 month every year. And I've translated that in different ways to understanding what's causing that and how that's working. And and that month, I've tried to desperately try and work out where, and certainly maybe not where, because I've never really been able to predict the sightings apart from just recently, when Steve talked about Carlos. You didn't see this bit, but actually, Steve said, when he showed me Carlos Skywatcher's latest shot, that, like I say, is very reminiscent of the shot that came in on the 17th of August 2017 when I came out to America. That shot, the same day as the ESO recorded gravitational anomalies, and suddenly NASA and all the other space agencies, or certainly the ESO, suddenly put out the story that the European Southern Observatory put out the story that 230 million light years away, two neutron stars have collided. Afternoon, Dave. Afternoon, David. So, afternoon, David. That roughly translates to being in Europe. And what I was going to say about Carlos Ferrada then, Carlos Skywatcher, and his shot that you didn't quite get to see, that Steve hopefully was going to bring up, was that as soon as Steve showed me, I said that was in the Northern Hemisphere, wasn't it? And he was like, "Oh, I'm not too sure." And then we sort of double checked, and it was just like, "Yeah, it was somewhere in Europe, I believe." That's what the interpretation I think was at the time, anyway. But excuse me, shaking my hand there. I'm blurring the screen, but I still haven't got a tripod or anything else like that. So anyway, so we have managed to kind of. I certainly feel like we are getting to a point where, though I can predict the times, and I've not really been that successful with the overall size, apart from the last 2 years. We have always been able to predict the time of the flyby, but the size and what we're going to get with it has always been in question. And because of now projecting this whole data through the eyes of, or through the orbital mechanics of Jupiter. Good morning, Dave, and fellow Skywatchers. I love you all. Bless you. Thank you. Um, because now we're looking at it through the eyes of Jupiter. Um, we can. I mean, there's still so many variables because we still don't. Because now we're suddenly looking at this through the eyes of Jupiter. That means that the kind of many of the orbital mechanics of this that we've been kind of working with, my 200-day anomaly. If that's so much more to do with the actual specifics of the big mass Jupiter, and not the specifics of what we've been thinking is the furthest orbiting object of whatever it has been orbiting, which has been in a question. And we're doing massive jumps here, because we started, we started this year with kind of Steve Olsen kind of doing the overlays of Jupiter and what we've been calling the blue Kachina. And then we've had a whole series of events leading to a massive amount of data. To change my hand, that's one of the things I'm going to have to work around, aren't I? So I'll put it over there. Can you still see my thumb? I'm so sorry, I've got to practice this. I need tripods for uh, for phones, I guess. But that will all be to come, and I will configure everything so we can have overlays. And just to add, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name now. Alex Lujan, Planet X. The Planet X channel is he's just posted a very interesting shot that's also very reminiscent of the shots that we saw coming in what was it? It would have been, I think it was 2017, 2018, in the lead up to that big shot that came in on the 25th of January. That came in on the 21st of January. I said it was going to come in on the 25th of January, 2017. It came in on the 21st, and I believe on the lead up to that shot, and you'll see it in some of my old timelines, the sky goes this kind of pinky orange, and this is just when it's gone its way in, and and aspects of the tail are directly between us and the sun. So maybe I need to turn that over there a little bit, and you can get a little bit more light on my face and see me a bit clearer. San Diego in the Dave in the Dave Dobbs house. Well, it's not on my house actually. I live in caravans, trucks, and boats generally, but it's a nice house though. But I've just popped in here because it's a friend's let me use it because it's got broadband rather than kind of doing it via my phone, which actually maybe it makes it a bit clearer now because I'm using the broadband connection. But so back to I guess back to tomorrow a little bit, just for anyone who's just jumped on board. Just to say that again, 7:30 till 9:30 tomorrow in the town hall, beamed out live on my channel. I'm going to do a talk and I'm going to present to the people of Glastonbury what I'm seeing as the Galileo Zodiac. This concept that the shots we saw of Jupiter, and I'm not going to do any overlays now or anything else like that, but the shots we saw of Jupiter, that Steve Olsen and all these different people have helped us bring together, that have given us this new window on what we're really seeing, that Galileo was correct. Jupiter really did do a flyby, or more specifically, we did a flyby of Jupiter, and we are not in the center of all this. And there's these big cycles that we have been going through, and that's what we're going to explore, and in the implications of what our governments are trying to do now, what it means to go into a free trade deal, what's really on the table, what's on the end of the fork. This William Burroughs lunch, what's on the end of the fork. And if you consider that, well, I'm going to save it till tomorrow because we are going to cover some pretty harsh places tomorrow, but we're going to do the Zodiac first, and then we're going to sort of like go through, and we're going to present the harsh naked reality of the naked lunch, what is really on the end of the fork, at the end of all of this, and that's what we've all got to be looking at. But we've got to go into a new direction here, and we've got to see what's going on. We've got to get everyone's opinion. So we're going to do this talk, do the Galileo's timeline, and then we're going to turn it into a people's assembly where you guys can comment as well, and we're going to feed some ideas and let you guys kind of punch out some ideas, and then after people can add to it into the comment section, to your comments and your reactions, and we can reflect this as a people's assembly. I won't be able to show the camera onto the assembly because I haven't got everyone's individual permission to do that. So you're not going to be able to do that, but you'll certainly be able to hear the kind of the racket of it when we start getting that process, if it all works out. But just open it out, just kind of get this idea. This is completely open to the general public. I could get absolutely destroyed at this process. I really don't know what's going to happen. I've done a little bit to promote it. I'm going to send a text out to all my friends and that sort of stuff. And we're just going to present it from a basin that has been carved out in a recent tsunami that happened in, well, not recent, but 1606 on the 20th of January, since 1606. And an interesting tsunami because it came in very, very, very slowly. It wasn't like a tsunami like we would understand tsunamis. It came in very, very slowly. It took 10 days. Afternoon, Dave Dobbs from Wales. Hey, so we have got a few people from the United Kingdom like turning up, and I guess this news of, because Wales was much affected also by, because Wales is kind of sits, Wales sits on one side of of if you like the River Severn, the Severn Estuary, and Somerset sits on the other, and that where it flows in, it doesn't sort of come straight in. It comes in from the west and then kind of goes around northwest sort of thing. So you can imagine any big tidal shift that comes in doesn't kind of like it come to the kind of that tiny little dam the Dutch built in kind of like the 1800s. It is it just going to stop there and think, oh, they built a dam, I better sort of like turn the other direction. We have to kind of see that, floodplains are called floodplains for a reason. And we all know that. And we all know that. And so we get around it. The way they get around it in America is people have really expensive insurance policies and that sort of stuff. And certain seasons, it's as normal as anything, isn't it? It's becoming quite regular in parts of America. Except that this is here, the tsunami season is about every sort of like it's about every between 340 and 700 years, I suspect, and possibly longer. Possibly they're kind of like it takes 12 cycles. So, but going back to, I know I started. I know I remember suddenly remembered the thread that I was on where someone said September the 23rd, 2024, and it is an interesting time, because let's think about. It's going to be much easier to do this with overlays because I can astronomically kind of give you a much bigger understanding of what I'm talking about. But picture that we haven't seen this. That's not true. We've seen aspects of a monthly pattern that has existed seismically, volcanically, gravitationally, because of the gravitational anomalies and the detections that we've had. We've seen aspects of a pattern, and when we connect those patterns together and we go back to 2010, when the 6 point, no, it was an 8.8 in Chile, the 8.8 earthquake in Chile on the 27th of February 2010, and we go 1 year and 13 days later to the 11th of March 2011, and we get Fukushima, officially originally in the first instance recorded as a 9.6. Okay, it was dropped down to a 9, but we have to look at the degradation, the damage that was done with that, the total destruction. Do we need to downgrade that, or do we need to make that look like it was any less than what it was? Do we need to try and sweep Fukushima under the carpet on this? Do we need to take that side in our argument? But you can see when someone says 2024, how they could arrive to sort of things like that, because if this thing has gone all the way, it doesn't really go round it hasn't gone the same route round our sun in the same fashion. Only one aspect of Jupiter's orbit round whatever it orbits, we are coming close to. Thank you again, dear man, for making voices heard and for helping to open the eyes. I am spoken. God bless you. Thank you. The the can you see that as a sequence going? We only clearly because of, remember there was two earthquakes that happened both on the, I believe, the 6th of February. One was like 2016, and then it happened again in 2018. There was a gap between. Um, I've just received a message from YouTube just telling me I'm live. Thank you. And that's good to know. um, So just staying with this thread, and for all anyone who's just dropped in to say hello, just to say that the reason for this is just to give you a heads up that we're doing a discussion. I'm doing a discussion tomorrow in the town hall in Glastonbury, which is going to be beamed out live. It's going to run from 7 in the evening till 9 in the evening. That's GMT. Please come along, get involved. I've posted it up. I've posted a link to the what do they call it, the live stream in the last video I made, and I'll put one at the end of this video, but it takes a little bit of time to go up, so it might not be there immediately, but you can find it in previous videos, or certainly my penultimate video. But so that's going to be happening tomorrow. And we're going to be bringing the new timeline to lots and lots of people that haven't seen it before, to an audience that are expecting something much more political and expecting political debate, and they're not going to be quite ready for the Dave Dobbs experience. Well, they are. This is my hometown. Don't forget. This is my hometown, and this is Glastonbury. And these people are very cool in Glastonbury. I got to be honest with you. It's like I've never been to San Francisco, but I can imagine. I got this kind of like. I went to New York when in the very early '90s when it was wild and fantastic and amazing. I'd never seen anything like it. I came from sort of like the sort of place where sort of like women dance around their handbags and kind of like in these kind of like. I mean, I hadn't really because my brother, when he told me he was gay when I was just coming up to 18, I went to kind of live with my brother and hang out with my brother and try and sort of tell him how wonderful he was and how much I loved him as for who and what he was and everything else like that. And oh my God, I discovered the gay community, and I can just remember how wild it was. And I came from a very straight community where all that sort of stuff was very frowned upon, and there wasn't one. I don't think there was one black kid in my whole school. Basically, there was one black kid in my whole school. There was, I think, virtually the only black kid in my whole neighbourhood. Virtually in Brighton, it was like that. Back in the day, it was such a stark reality that we lived in and we took for granted. It was something else. Like, to me now, it looks like kind of like that. It looks as mad as Russia did in the kind of like 80s. I think about it, how kind of shut down it all was, and even that time we were kind of like I don't know what I'm saying anyway, but New York was just absolutely amazing. It really was, and it was exciting. Like I'd never seen anything like it in my life. Just never touched anything like it. Even though I'd been to Heaven, this gay nightclub in London, which was just off the radar. You'd never seen anything like it. It was like the most gorgeous women and the most gorgeous men all there, just like absolute frenzy of kind of like parties like you'd never ever seen in your life up until that point. You'd just never seen kind of partying and that kind of like just didn't seen that in a straight kind of disco or a club or whatever they called them back in those days. But anyway, so I never been to San Francisco, but I've been to New York in its heyday, and I imagine that San Francisco must be an amazing place. And this I always think is our equivalent to San Francisco, kind of like Glastonbury, even though it's tiny, tiny. You can walk from one side of Glastonbury to the other in sort of like in kind of like in about 10 minutes. And I think if you went to sort of like I mean I know when you go down to um, LA, I think about downtown LA, it's like 80 miles or something, isn't it? Something mad like that. That's just central town, 80 miles wide. That's like the width of England. Maybe not the widest bit. Downtown. Oh man, it's a whole different kind of meaning to when you're in our sort of neck of the woods compared to what it's like in the States. But it's anyway. This is a wacky little town, Glastonbury, and it's a place where you can come and be a bit more of an oddball and and it's not so bling. There's not so money. It's not so much money here. It's a bit like Bristol. Bristol hasn't got that much money sometimes. It's getting there in different aspects, but all the subcultures grow from where grow most, where there's a lack of money, because that's where all the people who've got no money go, and so that's where all the cool people are hanging out. Not to say that rich people aren't cool, but they're kind of like it's because we get lost in this kind of bling world, and it kind of like and it just prices out It just prices community out. Anyway, so anyway, this is our mad little corner. So hopefully they're not going to find it too mad, and hopefully they're going to be able to take it. And there's we've got a lot in a very very interesting selection of people here at Glastonbury that might really kind of add something to this People's Assembly when we present their information and their findings. Once we kind of have this perspective where we look at it and we try and open it up to a much bigger perspective of what these decisions, because these decisions affect you as much as they affect us. And one thing I didn't know what to mention or anything else of that, and maybe you'll be able to help me on this, but there. For me, it's a massive thing because, as I'm understanding, it's really, really not a conspiracy that it is legal, in theory, that late stage abortions have been legalized as such, or they've won this court case in New York. Has anyone heard about that? Anyone heard that? How very dare you? Who said that? I wonder. Does anyone else know that? Is that true? Is this legislation? Is there any truth in this legislation? That's sort of like stuff that we're hearing on the net and that sort of stuff. That a law firm in somewhere or other via the Senate has managed to get the legalization right to terminate. Anyone know? Well, listen, I'm going to try and research that a little bit because I find it every time I hear about it, I just think, no, that cannot be. Because what I'm understanding is a free trade agreement. The bit that's really, really damaged Canada so much is in this free trade agreement is that when you sign a free trade agreement, um, hey, we've got a relentless maverick on board there. Hey, dude, big sunny smiles to you as well. Late term legal in Virginia. Is that where it is? Is that the? I can't really do a search here and that sort of stuff. But I've been, when someone said, "How dare you?" and that sort of stuff. The very thought of it, isn't it? The very thought that someone could even legislate you, it's legislate it. It's just like, what? How dare you even have that thought that humanity could stoop to allow something like that? Yes, abortion is. Whoever wrote yes, abortion is. I missed that. Maybe you can sort of like put that up because it kind of stays up on my screen for a moment. And if you've got any ideas of what states it in, we've just had. I can't remember what they said, but they said I better not say it to get it right. I have to read these comments afterwards because it's such a terrible thing to think about. But we can understand that Canada, them signing a free trade agreement. Yes, abortion at birth, basically. Oh God, it's just like no, 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 no. It's just like it's unfeasible, isn't it? It's just like it's allowing abortion up to including birth. No, no, no. It's just like I mean, Dave, they are never going to allow you to get funding or airtime. That's just a given. You can see my entire life has been spent on this side of the fence. All my life has been spent on that side of the fence. And when I was living outside the Guardian, and going to come back to that abortion shit thing in a sec. But when I was living outside the Guardian, and the security in my pink rickshaw, dressed in my pink rickshaw, dressed in a bright yellow suit, and just like just trying to be very annoying. I couldn't get any press, any publicity, anything like that, and 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 then it was Boris Johnson coming up on his bike and peering into the side of my rickshaw, and someone with a food critique or the chef actually, Oliver Rowe, I think his name was, came by and just got that shot of Boris, and that shot got 16 million hits on Twitter. And it's like everyone I knew, all my mates, everyone was commenting. They thought I was mayor of London. They really thought I'd paid the 10 grand and kind of got in there because there was so much publicity as a result of it. And It was hilarious. I didn't even, you have to pay the 10 grand to run in that period. You know what I mean? Where they're all in the papers and that sort of stuff. That's not strictly true because in the period up to that 6 week period, before that 6 week period starts, you can all put yourself up as a candidate. You can put yourself up as a candidate in America, and they would have to list you because they cannot not list you because you are a candidate until you can't comply with all the stuff like 10 grand, need 10 grand. I mean, you can put your kids into kind of, give your kids a kind of university education for 10 grand. So then, like, what I mean? It's an unfeasibly large amount of money that just basically eliminates the only aspect that is really relevant, and that's the people. The people can't get involved when it's 10 grand. Only corporations can buy their way in. It's just like the whole thing is such a fix up. Anyway, that was this kind of reality of just like doing things, not getting, feeling like you're just going up against a brick wall. You know not going to get any publicity. No one in the press is going to cover anything you can do. You've got to accept that as a sure gone thing all the way down the line. That's all the way down the line. And if they do give you anything, it's going to be to knock you 10 steps back at every juncture and to make you more whatever they want you to be, for someone like myself to be discredited or to be slammed and to be kind of like, oh, he's fake news, he's mad, he's this and that sort of stuff. For me, I'm offering such a full on message that that's the best thing for me. It's the best place for me to operate. That's why I came out. When I came out, kind of playing, kind of like playing War of the Worlds, and that we're all being invaded by Mars. I came to it from the most insane place, wearing literally a tutu. It was just like, what do you do? What do you do? You know what I mean? It's just like, this was going to be a slow, difficult process. And we've all just got to remember that lots of little is still lots. And we just do our little bits. Nice big one. Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. See, relentless. Maverick's just stage a poetical to draw media. Stage a. I didn't quite get that. What that democracy is a joke. Democracy is dead. Well, the thing is that democracy will be dead if you kill all the people. Because democracy means the people coming together. That's kind of what it means. You know what I mean? If we kill all the people, then democracy is dead. But if people don't come to, but if we can bring people together, that is what it means. We can, but when you fake democracy, when you offer this kind of pretend like we are here, there's no hustings, people can't go along and meet the candidates because the candidates can't show their faces in public because nobody wants to see them. They just run this orchestration of total bullshit and mind control between the people that do actually vote, and they just get these stories and they've divided us. They've got everyone's running around. They haven't got any time to be parts of their real communities because they're all running around like blue ass chickens trying to pay their rents, trying to pay their cars, trying to pay their medical bills, trying to pay everything. No one's got any time to be part of the real active communities they live in. Most people don't even know their neighbours' names. We're kind of like we're in a situation where we're so disconnected from each other that we don't know what each other thinks. When we go out, we just generally talk about how shit the weather is, and can't mention Brexit because just breaks your heart. It's just too depressing. Over Christmas, it's like nothing going on. It's just like, apart from your kind of diehards out there that will always be on the case, will always be expressing opinion, or always be on it because they know how important it is. But our constitution has been corrupted. USA is a prison. Birth certificate death. People are brain dead. Well, they are, and we are getting massively psychically hacked at the moment, and we really are getting kind of like, we're getting ripped apart by so much. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if the technology is coming by this thing I'm shaking right now. iPhones, spy phones, and all the rest of them, they're influencing us in so many different ways. And where our own messages are getting so watered down, and they're de-educating us and filling us with so much trivial pursuits, especially the young. And but then on the other side, we are seeing, the young generation look cool. They look cool as hell, don't they? They're just like they're kind of like they were dressed. Well, I don't know if they're well dressed and all that sort of stuff, but they're kind of like intelligent and as the young people have got Piers Corbyn in, and by getting involved and actually engaging in the Labour Party and taking over its members, working taking over from the inside, and that's what the young generation are doing. Maybe that's what's going to happen here. But either way, we're going to bring it all up to the discussion. I'm just looking at the comments there. Bless you. Thomas Believer, what's he going to say there? It was signed in January 2000. What? What was signed 20th of January 2000 and what was that? What were we talking about? I've lost my thread when you said that. I've completely forgot what we were talking about. What was signed? Excuse me. Anomaly. Big smiles there. Didn't come up. Oh well, I'm just trying to catch up on there. That something was signed. Intelligence will improve when the other people die. Coming together, Dave. A lot must be singing among candidates. No real solutions here. No, well, there is going to be a solution, and the solution to me is going to be when we go into a state of singularity and this big battle about who we are going to be and who we are subsides, and we are just who we are, and we can relax in the state of being. And that's what I was told, as I've often gone back to in my videos, where I was told, put simply, your earth will no longer support duality. And all that is subverting humanity is about to be pulled away from it. So each human mind is a sovereign mind again, connected only to its heart and to its own thought process. And oh look, I saw that on December 25th, and I missed it again. Did anyone else read that and manage to get that whilst I was kind of like so sorry, I just like maybe to break it down in bits. You know what I mean? I sort of like in New York, anytime abortions, it's signed into law. Sorry, Israel. I'm not mad. I'm not just gonna kiss when people say like, "How could you? What are you talking about?" The scam of the birth certificates. I've heard about this. I'm printing the money when they're sort of like printed off and da da da. Is that what we're talking about, or the fact that what it actually means to be an informant? Aren't your parents called informants on your birth certificate? Wow. You are a nutter. What is that? Because I'm talking about late stage abortions and whether they're right or wrong, and kind of like Jupiter. I wonder what part makes me a nutter. But humans are way easy to manipulate. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. Anyway, lovely people. So look, there's a reminder for the show. We're gonna and I'll have the overlays and everything ready for the show tomorrow, the live show tomorrow, and we'll bring it. We'll bring it together and kind of like and see how Glastonbury react to it. I might get seriously booed. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe something happens. Whatever goes on, it would be great to have have people there commenting, expressing what they're feeling on everything, and we'll see what happens. So thanks again. Check out Alex Lusion's latest shot, and I really want to try and find this shot from that Steve showed me. We haven't seen yet actually from Carlos Skywatcher, who's got an amazing shot, like I say, on like the one that was on the 17th of June 2017, very similar, I think. So all of that to come. Hopefully we're going to bring all of that into a video tomorrow, and lots of discussions, and let's see how a bunch of people who haven't seen this before react to it. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.